Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about Mono White Initiative in Legacy. This deck, like I talked about in my most recent Legacy metagame analysis, has taken Legacy by storm and enabled by commander cards that have finally been released in Legacy that you can only get in treasure chests. The point of the deck is to play creatures earlier than you should that take in the initiative, and then venture through the Undercity to victory. Let's jump into it. So the deck entirely centers around White Plume Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer. Now, besides doing reasonably powerful things themselves, White Plume Adventurer untapping and Seasoned Dungeoneer making a single attacker have protection from creatures and exploring, which is broken, they both take the initiative, which allows you to immediately venture through the Undercity, and then if you keep it through your opponent's next turn, be able to venture through the Undercity again at your upkeep. So White Plume Adventurer can help stop our opponents from doing that by blocking and untapping, and Seasoned Dungeoneer can gain the initiative back from our opponents if they ever take it very easily. Now, why do we want to venture through the Undercity? Well, this is why. Each stage of the Undercity is extremely valuable in this deck, especially if you make it to the end and are able to grab a thing like Solitude or Palace Jailer, or even another White Plume Adventurer or Seasoned Dungeoneer to make sure that you keep the initiative and continue the gravy train. It allows you to get an incredible amount of free value. Now, for those that don't know, the way you go through a dungeon in Magic is you have a counter that starts at the very top, that's the beginning, and any room that's connected whenever you either get the initiative or explore the dungeon or whatever the keyword may be, you move your counter to an adjacent room and then get that thing. And you do it until you've gone to the very end of the dungeon, which is kind of like ultimating a planeswalker. It's so powerful. And then you can do it all over again. And you can have this happen very, very quickly, as early as turn 3 sometimes, which feels incredibly broken. So how do we support that? How do we make a 3-mana creature and a 4-mana creature that we must cast in order to win most of the time? How do we make that good? Well, normally we cast them on turn 1, and then again on turn 2, through cards like Ancient Tomb and City of Traders to get out these guys as fast as possible, alongside Lotus Petals and Chrome Moxes. So it becomes reasonably reliable to play one of our 3-drops on turn 1, and mostly reliable to play one of our 4-drops on turn 1, but definitely by turn 2. Alongside that, we're playing Cavern of Souls because a lot of our creatures are human. Basically, every creature in our deck is human besides White Plume Adventurer. And because we don't really want more than 2, maybe 3 lands, depending on the Lotus Petals, Chrome Moxes, and City of Traders and Ancient Tombs, we have lands that do stuff as well. Karakas is excellent against any deck with legendaries, forcing your opponent to replay them. And Iganjo is a way that you don't really cast. And Iganjo is a way that you can mess up combat, since this deck enjoys getting in the red zone as much as possible, especially if its initiative is stolen. Now, with any Death and Taxes style Stompy deck, of course we're playing Thalia. Thalia doesn't really affect our deck much at all, especially in the main deck, but can mess up most of the other best decks like 4-Color and Delver and even Reanimator. We're playing some other Hate Bear style cards in Elite Spellbinder to slow down what our opponent's doing, because again, we kill very, very quickly and can apply way too much to the board very, very quickly. So if we're able to stop something that really matters, even if it's their only early play or only way to interact, is excellent. And then Anointed Peacekeeper is kind of just Elite Spellbinder 5 and 6 for the exact same reasons. Also, since we are planning on protecting our initiative anyway, having a card like Palace Jailer is excellent. It allows us to become the Monarch, which means we draw a card at the beginning of our end step every turn, which we can lose if our opponent deals combat damage to us. But it also is a removal spell. So this deck never feels more powerful than when you are like protecting your monarchy and protecting your initiative at the same time, and you get to venture through the Undercity and draw a card every single turn. It was so incredible. Since we're playing so many white cards, and it's important we remove our opponent's creatures so we can attack through, and also so that they can't take the initiative or the monarchy, Solitude is excellent. It's just a free removal spell by exiling a card from our hand, and very often we can cast them in the late game. Emeria's Call is literally acting as a land for us, except it's a land that we can pitch to Chrome Mox and a land that we can pitch to Solitude, which again is kind of like a Iganjo and Karakas. We're just trying to make our land drops that actually matter in the late game. And the last card in the main deck is Chalice of the Void, because of these Ponders, these Brainstorms, these Lightning Bolts, all of these things, these Swords to Plowshares. We're an Ancient Tomb City of Traders deck, and even if we don't play one of our creatures on turn 1, just having Chalice of the Void and Ancient Tomb City of Traders can just win against most decks. And you take those free games, especially since it doesn't affect us at all in the main deck and barely affects us in the sideboard. Now, as this deck became more and more popular, people started looking for ways to like beat the deck, especially the mirror match. Our answer to the mirror match is Empty Shine Kanushi. It basically says just protection from white, which means that if your opponent keeps getting the initiative, either by attacking you or playing new initiative creatures, this can always get the initiative back, which is incredible in this matchup. Also, if you have the initiative, besides Seasoned Dungeoneer and Elite Spellbinder, you're able to block with Empty Shrine Kanushi in some scenarios, but most of the time you're just getting the initiative back every single turn. Swords of Plowshares is for, obviously, creature decks, again, including the Mirror, Delver, anything where creatures hyper matter. It actually comes in quite a lot. Containment Priest is for the Reanimator and Sneak and Show matchups, or anything else that might be relevant in. Aven Mind Sensor serves two purposes. One, it's just like a fine card against almost every single Legacy deck anyway. So if there's any cards in our main deck that are bad, we can bring in Aven Mind Sensor for those cards, and it's just like a fine upgrade. But also it's pretty solid against Doomsday and other decks that rely on searching through their deck. Lorna the Third Path is our answer to Artifact and Enchantments, especially in Red Prison decks, which are pretty good against us. And Fairy Macabre is our answer to Graveyard decks. Again, mostly Reanimator. So that is the new hotness in Legacy, Mono White Stompy, Mono White Initiative. It is currently becoming the deck to beat. So now Legacy is suddenly a 2-deck format in Blue Red Delver and Mono White Initiative. We'll see if this deck actually overtakes Delver, but in my experience with it, it has very quickly become my favorite deck in Legacy, and I think it will. It is so powerful. I really think it's going to catch a ban. We'll see. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.